yeah? I like to say this before every talk back. Try to embarrass me. You guys can ask me anything that you want. I cannot be shamed. I do not promise to answer anything, but I love it when people try to embarrass me, so do your worst.
Okay, I guess we'll get started with the first person in line. Hi, James.
Yeah, baby.
It's not really an embarrassing question, kind of random. If you could be Captain Hook or Peter Pan, who would you be and why?
If I could be the captain?
Or Peter Pan.
The captain in Peter Pan.
Yes.
Who's running from an alligator?
Yes. Peter Pan!
You get to hang out with Tinkerbell. I mean, she's smart, but she's small, but she's hot. Yeah, no, Peter Pan. Jeez, yeah, definitely. I've never been asked that.
And so we asked.
Awesome.
Alright,
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, brother.
All right, here we go.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. You've been preparing this one, Steve.
I'm going to give you an option. Which one you want me to ask you? You want it to be personal or musical?
Personal.
When was your last three-way?
I'm not sure you're supposed to ask those questions.
Night, 2004.
And it was good.
But seriously, on the serious note, the reason it was good is because I wasn't really totally in love with anyone there. Three-ways can get really complicated if you're a real couple and you decide to experiment. Three-ways, they can blow up in your face really quickly. So we were all experimenting and it was good. So.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's a good question.
Oh my God. I was not expecting that.
Yes.
I'm not a Buffy fan, but my question is about Campbell here.
Right on.
When you were playing your character,
Yeah.
how did you feel playing a character like that?
You know, Barnabas was, let's see. So, I mean, he's a villain, yeah? But it's my job to understand him and to fight for him. And it was all about fanaticism. You know, like when you are convinced that you know the truth, then you can do anything to fight for that truth, including blowing people up. And so, basically, I'm playing Osama bin Laden, okay? So, how do you make sure that you feel for that guy? So, it was really, I hate to say it, but, well, no, I love to say it. It was all about love for me. It was all about love of God and God's will, and knowing that I knew better than anyone else on earth what God's will was, which is that's the mistake. So I was literally on my knees praying in between takes to try to, get into that. And I remember a director coming up, and he's looking for me all around the set. And he looks at this little part of the set, and he's like, "James, I have enough." And I'm on my knees going. And he goes, "Oh, never mind, you already have it."
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello. I was wondering, since you're also in a band, what are some of your favorite bands, favorite musical artists, stuff like that?
Sweet question. Man. I think, for me, art is one of the most beautiful things that art can do is take pain and transmute it to joy or to beauty. And I think for me, one of the bands that did that the best for me personally was Nirvana. Yeah. But I have to say, it also goes back to Roy Orbison, and Johnny Cash, and John Lennon. They really kind of pioneered putting that pain into the pop charts. And really Lennon above all. Because he's riding high on the Beatles and his song is I'm a Loser, and I'm not what I appear to be. I mean, that's subversive. And I think very beautiful, very honest, very vulnerable. So those definitely, I love Bob Dylan, you know, Joni Mitchell, Tom Waits, let's see, who am I into today? Man, you know, like Weezer, Ben Folds, they're really cool. But yeah, those guys. Yeah. I'm getting all serious. Let me come up with another one. Good, thanks. Thanks, man.
Hi.
Hello.
So you say you want people to try to embarrass you.
Yeah.
What is the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to you?
Well, see, I'm not really aware when I'm being embarrassed. I don't know, man. Yesterday, I suppose. I'll probably realize it 20 years from now, like, oh man, I made a jerk out of it.
Anything?
I can't think of one thing.
Just
I'm not saying that I don't embarrass myself constantly. I'm just saying that I'm oblivious to it.
I'm not easily embarrassed either, but
Yeah.
you know, not when other people think you should be embarrassed, but when you yourself are embarrassed. Doesn't even necessarily have to be other people were watching. My most embarrassing moment, nobody ever knew about it.
Tell us.
Okay. My most embarrassing moment, I was at a friend's wedding, and it was a Catholic wedding.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, long. It was like 2.5 hours long. By the end of it, I had to pee so bad. So my then boyfriend, now husband, I just shot up out of the pew as soon as the priest was gone and everything, and I ran to the bathroom in the basement, you know, church basement bathrooms. So I get there, and I decide I have to do more than pee. So I go to put the seat down so I can, you know, put the little layers of toilet paper down and all that kind of crap. Well, the damn thing won't stay down. It keeps popping up. So I decide I'm going to have to squat to do it. I'm only doing this for you.
I love you too.
So I go to the bathroom, right? And one of the turds falls on the floor. And it's perfectly round. And it goes into the next stall with the woman in the next. That's embarrassing. And she doesn't even notice it. She doesn't see it. It goes behind the toilet. I am mortified. I'm hoping she does not see it. And there's a couple other people. I have to wait till everybody leaves the bathroom so I can go into the next stall and get this thing up off the floor. That was the most embarrassing thing I've ever had. I just told her like 300. We're not worthy. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, James.
Hey, brother.
I read that your first theatrical role was as Eeyore in a fourth-grade production of Winnie the Pooh. Could you tell us about your acting process?
I think that I had the pathos down just right. Eeyore was always my favorite character. I guess I was depressed as a small child. I just remember taking it really seriously. Actually, the whole pathos thing is true. I really wanted to get that depression. I really, you know, I thought this should not be a joke. You should really be sad. So yeah, I was doing Hamlet as Eeyore.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
James, how you doing?
I'm doing fabulously well.
All right, excellent. Well, anyway, I think I can probably speak for most people here when I say you were excellent in Buffy. You were even better on Angel. I'm sure this is probably one of those questions you've been asked a million times, but on both shows, what was your favorite episode of each?
Wow.
Favorite episode of yours that you were in?
There's so many good episodes. I mean, I was a fan of the shows myself. Like, I would not read, I've told some people in line, but I didn't read all the scripts because I wanted to watch the show as a fan. And I had a character that didn't know or care what happened beyond his own storyline. So I was like, why read the scripts? Then I'll just have to pretend that I don't know all that stuff. So I never told Joss that I didn't even read it. But it literally was, so that, because my Tuesday was actually Monday. We got it like a tape on Monday. And I would plug that in, and I would watch, like, what's going to happen with Buffy? I wasn't Spike at that point, I was James, just watching a good show. So there were so many good ones. But I would say that for Buffy, it has to be the musical. For the reason that we were terrified. We had no faith in Joss Whedon at all. We thought that he'd gone insane, right? So, like, usually they drop a script off for the next week so you can prepare yourself. And instead of a script, there's a little cassette tape at my trailer. So I'm like, okay, I'm at lunch, go put it in the cassette tape. And it is Joss Whedon and his wonderful wife, Kai, singing the songs. And Joss is playing the piano of this new episode, right? But they can't sing very well at all. And Joss cannot play piano very well. I'm a musician, okay? And it's horrible. It doesn't sound, it's like with Shakespeare, man. If you have a bad actor doing Shakespeare, it sounds terrible. I mean, it doesn't matter how good the writing is. If the performer messes it up, the audience doesn't understand how good the material is. So I didn't get it. And I go back out to the sunlight, and everyone else is coming out of their trailer with the same look on their face. So we spent quite like half a week trying to talk Joss out of this. Like, you are flushing our careers down the toilet. Like, I remember one, I forget who it was, but they were saying, just make me juggle a chainsaw. A real one. I'd rather do that because I healed from that, but I wasn't hired to be a musical performer. I was hired to be a dramatic comedic actor. I can do that. I trained for that, but I have no training in this, and you're going to send this out in front of millions of people, and you're going to ruin my whole career. And Josh was like, nope, gotta do it. And so we, at some point, and this is why it's my favorite episode, at some point we all figured out that we weren't going to get out of it. And we really dug in and worked hard, and all of a sudden all these vocal coaches and dance coaches started cycling through the sound stages, and everyone just screwed their courage to the sticking place and tried their best. And as an artist, I like those moments where you are going to jump off a cliff and you know you're either going to fly or you're going to splat. And so you've got to start flapping, man. Try your hardest. And so we pretty much thought it was going to be, the worst thing we'd ever been a part of. But we were trying our hardest. And then Joss wheels TV into the soundstage, and he had cut the Xander dance. That was the first thing he filmed. And showed us the Xander dance. And he had, Nick and Emma were just kicking it, and it was really good. And so we went from the bottom of despair to, oh my God, this is amazing. I was just never more proud of us as a company than when we were completely perfidious, completely faithless, and yet trying our best. So.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
So my question's kind of along the same vein as this. So there was a musical episode of Buffy.
Yeah.
And then the puppet episode of and then you also kissed a guy in Torchwood.
Yeah.
Which one of these things is your favorite, like, two things that stick out for me, for you?
Mhm.
That sticks out the most to you as like the craziest thing.
Wow. Wow. They were all kind of insane, weren't they? Again, none of them seemed crazy at the time. I will say that, kissing John was a great experience. I don't enjoy sex scenes. I don't like that. I don't like to be told ordered by contract to have sex with somebody. Like, because when you're having sex with somebody and you are paid to do it, what's your job description? Like, I'm a stage actor. We don't do that stuff, you know. So for me, it really comes down to when you have to kiss somebody or do have one of those scenes. It's like, do you trust that person? Are they your friend, and are they going to help you get through kind of a hard day? And John is a great guy, and I trust him. Hello.
What comic books do you or have you read, and which are your favorite?
The favorite comic book that I ever read would be Frank Miller's Batman treatment. You know, he did an amazing Daredevil a long time ago, and I thought that was all preparation for what he did for Batman. I thought that taking Batman at the end of his career, when he was hobbled and a little out of shape, after he had gotten the first Robin killed and had so quit, you know, the Cape Crusading business, and then to have a little 13-year-old girl decide to be the new Robin and him trying to fight that off. I just thought that it was a really honest depiction of that character, and frankly, it was a Batman that I would not want to have dinner with. And I had grown up on kind of a much more safe Batman. I always liked Batman. That was my favorite character, because if you shoot Batman, he dies. So that's bravery, right? No superpowers, just cunning and, you know, knowing when to run, I suppose. I thought the artwork was fabulous. You know, his artwork is not necessarily clean all the time, but it's very expressive. The lines are very thick sometimes, and they're always perfect. So I would say Frank Miller. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Hi, James.
Hello.
My question isn't substantial. I mostly just wanted to ask it, hoping that you would say something like "Hello, love" or "Hey, baby." You talked about this a little bit, but I just want to know who's a better kisser, Sarah Michelle Gellar or John Barrowman?
I remember when Sarah and I first kissed, she was playing Faith. It was the Body Switch episode, and I've never done a film kiss before, and we had to have like 14 takes because I kept acting it, and she kept saying, "No, James, in film, it's all about the look of it, and if you feel it at all, then our mouths are going to go like crazy like that." And I kept feeling it. She's like, "No, James, that was nice, but no." Just touch the lip, and it became a very technical thing of where, you know, how do you get the light? Like that key light's got to come in, and it was, I just remember it being, no, that's not it. On the 14th take, I just stopped caring. I go to the bathroom, and they're like, "That's it!" Yeah, so there's nothing more, there's nothing less sexy than doing a love scene. I'm sorry, guys, but it becomes so technical because the illusion, when you're trying to elicit a glamorous romantic illusion, then the bigger the illusion, the harder it is to create. And so it really becomes about allowing certain lights on certain parts of your lips or body, and it becomes taxing, frankly. But who would I rather care? Okay, preamble. Just what I said before about trusting somebody. Sarah's a fabulous person, but I am such a fan of John Barrowman because during that scene, we also kicked the crap out of each other right after. And John and I come from stage, so we both are used to doing most of our own stunts. So I think the stunt crew got in for 1 or 2 shots on that sequence, so we did everything else. And I blew one of the stunts. And I allowed myself to get really fairly seriously cut on my thigh. And in Hollywood, they don't come up to you. If you get hurt on a stunt, they're not like, "Oh, you poor baby, are you okay?" They're like, "How dare you?" That's your job, is not to get hurt, because you have to be used in the other sequences. So if you get hurt on a stunt and they don't allow you to do more stunts, they don't trust you anymore. So I didn't want to admit that I'd blown the stunt. So I go home and I should have gotten stitches, but I didn't go to the doctor, and I went and I just wrapped my leg up with like duct tape. And the next day I went to the set, and I started bleeding out of the costume, right? And John comes up to me and goes, "You did it, didn't you? You blew the stunt." And I went, "Yeah, I blew the stunt." He goes, "Dude, go back to your trailer. I'll hold him off on set. We'll take care of this." And I went back to my trailer. He got his personal doctor to come in, stitch me up, got a new costume, and the producers never found out about it. And so I trust that guy with my life, and I'd rather kiss John Barrowman.
Hi, James.
Hey, my brother.
All right. At the risk of drawing your ire and the anger of everyone in here, my question, everyone hold your breath on this. My question is about Dragon Ball. Okay, despite the movie itself, personally, and it's not to be a kiss ass or whatever, but we're like, yo, James Marsters is playing Piccolo. The hell with everybody else, let's go. But personally, like, what was it like for you, like the entire filming process? And be as brutally honest as you can, like your honest opinion of the final product.
Okay. So many levels. First of all, this is the first project that my son cared about at all. Like when I got on Torchwood, I called him up and I said, "Man, I got a samurai sword, I got 2 guns, man, I got this wristwatch, I can go through time." He goes, "Dad, do you win?" I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Man, at the end of the thing, man, you always have a fight, you always lose, you win or lose." I'm like, "I lose." Okay, next. But when he found out I was doing Piccolo, he was just like, because he and I have watched every episode that we can get of the whole thing, from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT. We stopped at Dragon Ball GT. And it helped me raise him in that I think the theme of Dragon Ball is, how does one be a man? What is it to be a man? What's the difference between Goku and Vegeta? Sorry if some people don't know Dragon Ball. The basic thing is that a man, and I agree with this, according to the series, a man is humble, a man is peaceful, a man is goofy. If you allow a man his druthers, he will be in a hammock watching butterflies and playing with his kids. But if you attack his family, he will kill you. But it's like a good cop, you know, or a UN peacekeeper. They're there to enforce peace, but only if absolutely necessary. So Goku is a goofy guy, you know, and he's fun-loving, but if you attack his family, you're toast. Vegeta, on the other hand, is an overgrown boy. That's why he's so short in the cartoon. Seriously, I think. So he creates chaos in order to prove himself against. And you can see this with a lot of males. They might be 40 years old, but they're still in a boy mentality, and they're still creating chaos with other people so that they can prove how tough they are. But that's not a man, right? So this helped me kind of talk to my son about becoming a man. So when I went into this movie, I was passionate. I was ready. And they told me that Stephen Chow was producing this film, and it was a $130 million picture. Stephen Chow directed Kung Fu Hustle and Shaolin Soccer, and when I found that out, I was like, "Oh man, this is going to be awesome. He's perfect." I get to Durango, Mexico. It's got 2,000-foot elevation. No one's met Stephen Chow. He's only on paper, and it's a $30 million picture. And I'm like, okay, never mind. Let's go for it. And didn't get a stuntman. There was a stuntman for Danny Hernandez, but every time they put him up in front of the camera, they only put like a pullover mask on him, like a lot of times they do stuntmen. But his face was a lot different than mine, and it just didn't look like the same character. So they would just be like, "Wake up, James! Get him out of his trailer, put him up on the wire, right?" And I remember realizing that they just weren't going to use Danny. When I get to set, and Danny's up on a 30-foot cliff, and he's on a wire, and the gag is he gets sucked off the cliff into this pot, this mafu pot. And the gag is just to get sucked off the cliff and start a rotation so that the next shot we do a different shot where he's rotating and then there's a lot of sequence. And Danny does the gag, but he jumps too far off the cliff, comes back on the wire against the cliff, face plants on the cliff, and just cheese grates along for like 30 feet. And everyone's doing exactly that way. He's feeling like, oh Jesus! And they lower Danny down, he's kind of like, and the director turns to me and goes, ready, James? And I go, wait a minute, do we have playback on that? And I look at it, and Danny is this big in the frame, you can't tell anything. I mean, like, and I'm like, you know, this is a very small shot of Piccolo. Maybe Danny can do this. And he's like, no, it's going to be on a big screen. Go. Luckily, I was showing off for my girlfriend, and I decided to do it. So Danny did one shot. There's one shot where he goes through 2 pillars, but everything else is me. So I think that if we would have done Dragon Ball Z right off the top, if we would have had Goku with say, white hair blasting a mountain away in the first shot of the film, it would have been a huge hit. But frankly, we were, as a company, trying to be true to the entire story, and we did Dragon Ball. And in Dragon Ball, Goku is 12 years old, and he's fighting midgets the whole time. And he's kind of cute and light. And we knew that we couldn't go that far, but we tried to go as far that way as we could. And I think that any fan that was expecting Dragon Ball Z will look at that film and go, that ain't it. But if you look at Dragon Ball and compare it to, you can kind of go, that's actually kind of has some balls. I just wish Stephen Chow would have been with us in Durango, frankly. So that's what I'll say.
Hey James, what's going on?
I'm up here drinking Diet Pepsi.
Going back to the whole Torchwood Buffy thing,
Yeah.
those 2 ladies had asked my questions, but that's okay.
Right.
But on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate each kiss between John Barrowman and Sam?
Oh,
This is fucking great. See, again, neither one of them were a kiss in the sense of what I do when I kiss people when I'm not being paid to kiss people. Neither one of them were anything more than one on a romantic or sensual level. Because it's just, that's not the point. As I learned with Sarah, if you experience any sensuality with the kiss, you've blown the shot already. So for me, I give John Barrowman a 2, just because he wasn't cracking on. It's like Sarah was a great person, but she was merciless. Like in that season where, it was season 6 where I was naked and stuff, right? Like, there was no dignity for me in that season. Like, when you go to work, like usually you have your costume on hangers and it's got your little name on it and everything. When you go to work and you look in your trailer and your costume rack has 1 sock. And it says James, and that's your costume for the day. You just need some support that day. Here we go, and Sarah, it's like we went from the WB. So now the CW, we jumped networks, right? In the middle of the thing. It was the only time the TV series jumped networks without being first canceled. It was like a big deal. So when we went over to the UPN was a new network and didn't have a standards and practices office yet, which is the office that tells writers, no, you can't do that, that's too nasty. So they realized that they can do anything they want, at least for 1 season until, our new bosses figure out what we're really like. So all bets were off in that. And Sarah was like, okay, I'll do these love scenes, but I'm not going to show anything. So she would come, I would be in a sock, and she would be like, James, do you like my gloves? I got a jacket and a muffler today. The next day. I mean, she's a wonderful person, but she likes to mess around. But I'll give John the 2 just because he saved me with the gag. Yeah. You're welcome.
Okay. Sorry, got my question. Spike wasn't actually older than everybody that was there, but he was one of the oldest ones there. I got the impression watching that you were conscious of the fact that you were supposed to, that, for instance, Giles was a child to you,
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the characters were children. I just wanted to find out what your thoughts were while you were playing such an old character with people who were in real life actually older than you.
Good question. No, I've never asked that before. You know, for a vampire though, Spike was a younger vampire. So compared to Angel or Drusilla, I was actually the junior. But looking at the human characters, very much like that. But see, that was dangerous. It's kind of dangerous. It helped me most with the relationship with Buffy, so that I could love her even though she was going through all of the machinations that she was going through. I had kind of a patience and an understanding that I think older people have about human beings. But I kind of felt like it was a little dangerous for me to go there in any other situation. I thought that it was funniest if I treat Giles like a father figure who I am rebelling against. You know, because I'm like a punk rock vampire, so you really got to kind of protect that young F-you kind of attitude. And so I guess I held on to that most of all. Like I would have directors who were like first-time directors on the show, they didn't know everything yet, and like Xander would be all hurt and bleeding in the corner, and the rest of the cast would be gathered around him crying and everything, and I'd be cacked out on the sofa going, and it wasn't written that way, but I would just, that's where I'd be, and the director would be like, dude, you know, you're a series regular, he's a series regular, you gotta care about each other in the show. And I'm like, no, don't care at all. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah. Hello.
My question was, one of my friends thinks that Spike is pure evil. Do you consider him extremely highly, confused or evil?
Well, that opens up a big can of worms. Okay. I come from stage, and my favorite author is Shakespeare. And Shakespeare does not write evil characters. He doesn't believe in it. He thinks that human beings make mistakes and hurt each other. And then hopefully they learn and stop doing that. But you know, people can do evil, and evil being, I suppose, hurting someone or something without good cause, like protecting yourself. But to call a character wholly evil is too simple. And that's kind of how I try to view life. And that kind of writing is the stuff I like the best. Now, Joss, his favorite author is Shakespeare as well. But he had constructed a series where vampires were not human. They were a metaphor for the problems that you have to overcome in adolescence. So for him, vampires were supposed to be ugly and very quickly dead. Right? That's why he did the morphing thing. So that when we got our teeth, we weren't pretty. You know, he kept saying, I don't like that Anne Rice thing. When my vampires get vampy, I want them to be hideous and ugly. So that when I kill them, people don't feel for them. But then he cast me as a vampire, and at that point, it becomes human to me, and I'm not thinking about myself as evil anymore. I'm just thinking about a human being who goes through a certain experience, and yes, he gets turned into a vampire, but that's just part of his experience. And so I feel like I was at odds with his show quite a long time. I remember he backed me up against the wall once, and he goes, I don't care how popular you are dead. You are dead, dead, dead. And I was like, dude, it's your football fans. But I just kept saying, as long as he doesn't kill me, I'm just going to play this like a person. I think by the end of it, he started to come over to my side and started to understand that Spike was not just a metaphor for problems, but that it was a character that was actually something that could be explored. But I think that that's something he had to come to. I don't know. Does that answer your question at all? So no, I didn't see him as evil at all, actually.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How are you doing up there? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. The coffee's still working.
You played such a wide range of characters
throughout your career. And then I'm just going to pick apart Spike because that's a character that most people seem to be more familiar with and recognize. In that Spike is a very complex character.
Yeah.
In that he's kind of an anti-hero of sorts.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, which character, which would you rather play, a villain or a hero?
Artistically, the hero. It's more complicated and closer to my human experience. But on the day when you're filming, villain, definitely villain. It's much more fun. Like when I do video games, I always make the bad choices. Like Infamous, I'm like, oh, kill them all. Because in real life, you know, you're trying to be nice, trying to be supportive of each other, love the world and everything. So when you get the vicarious experience, why not? Go the other way. Plus, when you play a hero, you're always running around trying to save people. You're always huffing and puffing, and always feeling guilty that you didn't do better, and you have to beat yourself up because you're not good enough to save the world, etc. Whereas when you're a villain, you just lurk in a corner, wait for the hero to come by, pop in the head, and go home. And plus, the script will build you up just as powerful and cool as the hero, because for the end you have to have an equal kind of battle. So the script will pump you up hugely. You just have to be willing to lose the last fight. So I would pick a villain anytime. But as an artist, I'm more proud of playing the hero part. That was harder. Yeah.
You don't rock in the free world.
And I hate to say this, so we have about 5 minutes, so probably time for 2 more questions.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Jack.
I remember reading sometime back that you originally were approached by Joss to play Wash in Fireflies. Is that true or just complete bull?
Nope. No, I didn't have time. When he started Firefly, I was still doing Spike. So, no, he didn't approach me on that at all. He won't do that.
If you could bare knuckle box any other guest at the convention, who would it be?
I'm not a boxer. I have to throw feet, bro. So I would get my ass kicked in a bare knuckle fight. So I would have to choose the smallest person here. Aiden.
What did you actually want to be when you grew up? When you were a little kid?
Oh, man. I've always wanted to be an actor.
Really?
Since the 4th grade, man. Yeah.
Hi.
Awesome costume.
Thank you. The question that I have for you, Spike went through a lot of different changes. First he was a bad guy, then kind of started liking it. The Angel, he was a good guy, but he went back to being kind of like tempestuous and rude. What was your favorite Spike to play?
Like the evil one. The truth is that Joss would come to me at the beginning of every season and say the same thing. I have no idea what to do with you. I have no plot whatsoever. I have lots of stuff for the other characters, but I'm just completely dry with your character. I'm sorry. So, and I'd be like, whatever, you'll think it's nothing, dude. But they plugged me in as needed. I was the disposable villain. I was supposed to die after 5 episodes. Angel, Buffy and Angel hook up. Angel goes evil so that he can be the bad boyfriend and give Buffy a headache. And to be evil in a dramatic way, he's going to kill another vampire and take that girlfriend, his old girlfriend, Drew. So I was supposed to die. And so then I was the hobbled evil professor, not genius, with, in a wheelchair. And that was basically just marking time and saving me for later. Then I was supposed to be the new Cordelia in season 4. They had lost Cordelia to Angel and they needed a character to say, Buffy, you're stupid and we're all going to die. So I didn't work out as that character because I couldn't get into scenes. All the smoking blanket stuff, that was all of us realizing that Spike was not right to be the new Cordelia because you can't walk in the room without lighting on fire. I didn't think of that before. So So then I was wacky neighbor for a while. Then I was the bad boyfriend for a while, and then I was hero for a moment, and then I was that jerk friend who always tells you you're stupid. So I was kind of plugged in wherever the plot kind of needed something. And what I'm happy about is that we were able to stitch all that together into one character that is believable and didn't seem like just some psychotic weirdo. Yeah. But my favorite was definitely the beginning when I was just unleashed to be bad. That was delicious. I was doing Rutger Hauer from Blade Runner and Malcolm McDowell from Cat People. I was trying to do an amalgamation of those two characters. I thought that would be cool.
Awesome, thank you.
We're only got like 1 minute, so.
I have a really short question.
Yeah.
Oh, very good, awesome.
Hi.
Hello.
Love you. But have you ever considered being on Doctor Who?
Uh-oh.
You know, I asked Russell T. Davis if I could be on Doctor Who, and his answer was no, never, never. Because, he said, I love you on Torchwood, but you're way too nasty for Doctor Who. I designed that character for an adult audience, for my Torchwood audience. Doctor Who has a younger demographic, it's for everybody, but it's also for little kids. So no way. Because in order to put you on Who, I'd have to water you down so much as to be just laughable. So no way. I'm going to keep you with that, and I'm going to keep you with sharp fingernails. Yeah. So sorry, Renata.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's a sexual can. Oh, yeah, I'll take that.